Hi guys, welcome to Fishing Squad. Well, we're back again. Going out tonight. I'm going to fish two marks. One, what I call the Huss mark, which will be primarily to get a Huss, and that's going to be over high tide. We're nearly 8 o'clock now. High tide's about 10. I'm going to fish it till about midnight. Come back up and head on to the deeper mark for the ebb to after low water. The deeper marks where we had the two congers that we've had this year, the two decent congers. But we're just fishing for anything. We're going to fish big and hopefully a few fish show. Basic rig, I'll show you a basic rig, what I'm going to use. There's not much variation really with anything. I've got a couple of slightly different ones here and there in the box, but this is the basics. You get some form of bait clip, whether it's on the lead, a splashdown, an imp or whatever. You get your standard pulley system, a swivel strap between two beads, about a 3.5 to 4 foot length of. Well, it could be. To be fair, this one's probably got 4 foot length of 200-pound mono. Some are 3. I like 3 and 2, but this one just happens to be. This is a tote rig that I've sort of converted back into a Huss rig. So you've got your rig body at 3 foot, between 3 to 4 foot. You've got a 2 foot snood, power swivel, 2 foot snood. This one's a pennel. I've got some singles. One finding works really well. It's having a small bottom hook. That happens to be a 4.0 tamers, and we've got an 8.0 tamers on the back. I don't know. That purpose of that bead, it happens as cushion for the knot, or if it's a wire trace, it happens to be cushion for the Flemish eye. But what it does do is when the fish hooks and you strike, it tends to keep that hook out of the way, the bottom hook out of the way, and you hook on the back hook. It seems to work really well for the Huss. My go-to Huss rig, if I was being particular, I'd put a little circle on the bottom, like a Mutsu circle, a 6.0, 5.0 Mutsu circle. Then I'd have an 8.0 tamers on the back. It seems to work really well. Seem to not have as many dropped fish on the surface. So it's just something to bear in mind. But I've made quite a lot of rigs with a pair of J hooks over the past few months. On the back end of like the taupe season sort of thing. So most of my pennels have got two J hooks because they were initially tied up for targeting taupe. So yeah, like I say, we've got some singles as well. So we're going to get down on the mark. I'm going to try and improve the lighting a bit on the rods and stuff. And we're just going to have a go. So the next bit of this video we should be at the mark. Catch you in a bit. Right, I'm down. I don't know if that's any better with rods. You can kind of make them out. I need a bit more lighting, I think, truthfully. Just trying a head torch strap to it. You can sort of see a bit of the rod there. Getting a few clicks on the ratchet. I think it's just tied from though. Both rods are out. We've got herring and squid on both. We've got loads of mackerel, loads of squid. Like I say, we're going to fish two different parts. That might be a bite actually, you know. I'm just going to pick it up. It was a bit jerky on the green one as you look at the camera. But we are getting a lot of tide runs come up to high tide. We're about an hour off high tide, so you can tell the difference, can't you, sometimes? I'm going to have a look at it anyway and see. I'll keep you on camera, actually. I don't know if you'll be able to see me, but we'll try. Just walk back here. It did have a couple of clicks. It's been out about 10 minutes. It did have a couple of clicks before, but still, I think it's just tide. We've got a fairly biggish tide as well, so I'm just going to hold it for a couple of minutes though, because it has. Yeah, we've got a bite on this. Right, let's put my head torch on. Let's into it. Time to drag up. Take your ratchet off. Let's slip into it. There's something on it, I think. Maybe not. It's stuck. Felt like there was something on that. Just gonna get my bar. Because we're using braid, something on it definitely, but because we're using braid, we've got the old bar. I think what you're hearing, the clicks on the ratchet probably tiger, but I do think there's a fish on it. Right, that resulted in a lost rig, that last bit of video. I've rebaited that rod, re-rigged it. It snapped on the leader knot, so we're not leaving any, we're leaving some mono on the seabed, which is good. It's the first time that's happened since I've been using this mono braid setup. It's got a lot of tide run, that's why the rod tips are moving. But I did have something a little bit of a better knock on the left-hand rod. It juddered. While they're doing this, they're just going up and down in the tide. That's obviously tide run, but you can differentiate between that and a bite. I mean, for the more optimistic people out there, that first bite, what I thought was a bite, you could say it was a fish that's gone in like a conger or something that's got me snagged. The more pessimistic people like me will say it's tide run. I reckon it was tide run. We'll never know. But all I'm surprised at was I had a hooks that I could probably bend out with the braid, and I had a weak link on the lead. So I'm thinking my leader at some point or whatever's got, or rig's got wrapped around some rock, or one of the swivels or something's got wrapped around some rock. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's why we snapped on the leader knot. But it's a slow start. The tide run's not as bad as it was when we first come down, assuming it was tide run for that bite. I'm trying to show you a bit more. Film is going to be difficult because it's dark again. But we'll just see what happens. We're going to make a brew because nothing's happening at the moment. I'm a bit pessimistic now. You know, I'm only 2 bait ups in and I just don't think it's going to happen on this mark already. Just get the sense. When I've done well on here, there's been a bit more of a rumble in the sea. It's absolutely flat. We've got lovely conditions in terms of comfort. There's not a breath of wind. I don't even need my IMAX jacket on. I've got my new fishing squad hoodie on. Don't forget to, I don't know if you can see, don't forget to follow us on YouTube. But yeah, so a bit pessimistic at the moment. I've had one judder other than the tide run. Oh. I think I'm getting a bite on right rod. Just give me a sec. I'll just show you something now with braid. I can just lift the rod back 6 inch, and that's me removing the lead on the bottom straight away. In really good contact with the lead. That's how I know there's nothing on that. Now there's a lot of small us off here, like smaller than dogfish, some of them. It could just be something like that chewing at my bait, but it don't feel like there's anything on it. Truthfully, that's tide run that. So we'll see what happens anyway. I've been trying big baits. I've had probably 4 bait ups on each rod. We're not going to be on here for much longer. We're going to move, but I'm just going to try a smaller bait, a single squid on the Peninsula rig. I'll have a go. Might be able to chuck it out a bit further. Maybe that's what we need. But the water clarity is really cloudy. You'd think big baits would be key, but every bait's come back intact so far. Disappointing. Right, I put a small bait out on the left-hand rod. Still got some tide run, by the way. I put a small bait out on the left-hand rod. I did have a bite. I've struck and it just felt like the fish bumped off after like retrieving it a few turns on the reel. You know, a few pumps on the rod and reel. Yeah. Basically, I moved the rig a few feet. Felt like the fish was on it. Let go. It was a good bite as well on single squid. So I put squid out again on that rod. So I'm just rebaited the right hand rod with plain mackerel. So we'll see. We did start off with half mackerel and bits of squid, you know, small squid attached to it. But we've just changed things about a bit. It's squid on one, smaller bait, and more or less full mackerel on the right hand rod, half mackerel. Well, 3/4 of a mackerel ish on the right hand rod. But it's been a poor session so far. Baits, by and large, coming back untouched. There's not a lot of activity, so let's see what happens. Right, so first section of this video, it's looking like a waste of time. I'm going to leave these baits out for another 15 minutes and then slowly pack them down, pack the rods down and move marks. We've got about probably a mile and a half walk to the next mark. I want to be fishing by 2 AM latest. It's about 11:30 at the minute. We're about an hour and a half after high, and this mark we're on, it just don't perform once you start getting into middle of ebb. We're pushing on, you know, a couple of hours after high, if you like. It's been very poor. So it's been a slow start. Hopefully the deeper water on the next mark will make a difference to things. Strange one. Usually when you come down to the stage of tide I came down at, you've got a chance of getting straight into a couple of horse. At least dogfish, you know what I mean? So disappointed, but chin up, can happen. I just want to put a mammoth effort in tonight, and off to a poor start. Unfortunately, we've got a huss. Nice plus. She's going to be, I bet it's 8.5, £9 that one. She's bleeding a bit. She had both hooks in her, but I just cut my snood and just pull them through. The tissue in the gills, if your hooks catch them, it's quite sensitive to bleeding. It's just burped, I beg your pardon. Nice one. I'll have a picture here, and then we'll put it back. So at least we haven't blanked on session one. I'm going to leave one rod out for now, settle one down, and slowly move. But that's a good way to finish on that one. Right then, guys. I did close down a bit of video off the first mark, but it didn't record. So about an hour and a half's gone past, nearly 2 hours since I've caught that horse. In that time, we've moved marks. I'm just tackling up the 2 rigs on the second mark. So we're on. Decided to fish the mark where I had the second of the big congers, a 22-pounder. I did fish on the last fishing video I did. There'll be a video on my channel of a rod rest that I've customised before that. Sorry, just after that. The last fishing video we did was off this mark, but I just don't think the conditions enabled me to fish it how I would have liked to. So I decided that I'm giving it a go when I can fish how I want to fish without it being dictated to me through the adverse weather and what I need to, what I've only got available to me, sort of thing. Which made it tricky, to be honest with you. The last time I fished on here, we're a bit earlier in the tide. We've got better conditions as far as we're going to be able to cast out better, hold bottom better, etc. So I just want to give it a go just before I rule it out and go back to my normal mark, basically. So I'm just going to bait these up. I'll show you what bait we're using. We'll be using mackerel and squid as always. So pulley rigs. I've got a simple pulley. And just the pulley rig, pretty much the pulley rig what I showed you in the garage at the start of the video. Simple pulley is again aimed at you losing minimal tackle. I've got a 700 Shaughnessy with a mackerel head, a bit of squid wrap to it, paper clip in there as well. Just keeps everything nice and in line and straight, stops the hook bending, folding round on the bait. You do get a bit of movement, but that's about as much as you get. Then we've got our hook snood. We've got 7 foot, 70 inches of 200-pound mono with an O'Shaughnessy hook tied on the end of it. Then about 3 foot down, we've got a figure of 8 knot, the stop knot style figure of 8. Then we've got a bead, swivel bead. Got my other rig there around my grip lead. And we've got another swivel. What I've tied the wheat link, the lead on, and we've got the bait clip. Now the bait clip I'm hoping forms two purposes: one to clip the bait down, two to set the shock off the rotten bottom, the wheat link line. And it should do both. So it'll absorb some of the shock that bait clip because the hook's resting on it. So it'll not be the wheat link line for the leads £30, but it'll not be casting directly on £30. It'll be casting on some of it, but it'll be balanced out hopefully onto the hook snood as well. So I'll give that one a go on one rod. Fishing with both fixed spools. On the other mark, I fished with my slosh with Daiwa J braid on. I got on alright with it, to be fair. That's what I was fuss on. But I just want to keep it simple and just try the fixed spools again off here. So I've just got, on here I've got 600 shorts on the bottom, mackerel squid wrap, bigger bait. I've got an 8 Thames on the back that I just need to sink into the bait. So I'm just going to give it a go off here. It's a good us mark, this section, if nothing else. I thought the other mark was a good us mark. But we're not a million miles away from where we've just been fishing, but the tide runs differently here. Basically, you can't fish it. It's a low tide mark here, the other mark's a high tide mark. I reckon the huss move around between each mark, truthfully. And depending on what the tide does, dictates where they feed, and that's all it is. But it's unfishable on here 3 hours after low for a good 5 or 6 hours. You can fish, but you cast out and you end up over there or whatever. Or you get a bow in your line and you just don't seem to catch anything. So, yeah. So we're at the right stage of tide. I'm going to get these rods cast out, and I've had a mile and a half to just over a mile walk. Without weight, and I've got a dodgy back as it is, so it was a killer. It's a nice still night. It's nice just to have some comfortable fishing sometimes. That's the other thing. This ledge is really comfortable. When the sea turns to come in, I'm not going to get pushed off or anything like that. So I'm not going. It's not. I've got a lower ledge below me, not massively below me. It's easy to get down to land fish. I'm good to right to land fish if I need to. I've got that gully here if I need to land anything. I can drop down. So enough chat. I'm going to get these two fired out. We're about as early as you want to be fishing it before low tide, really. So we'll give it a go, and hopefully some nice fish show up. Again, it's still pretty comfortable. There's a bit more of a nip in the air than there was earlier, but I was red hot after the walk here, so I'm going to get these tied on. The rods are on the tripod stand now, with the line already thread through the rings. I just need to tie these on and cast them out. So we might work things a bit more, bait a couple of rigs up in between times, ready to go out. So yeah, see how we get on, innit? Right, that's both rods out. Seems to be holding bottom pretty well. Straight away, they're holding bottom really well. So there's not much tide run at the moment, which is good. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll just see what happens. And fingers crossed and all that. It will say just till it gets light, then we'll bugger off. It's about half. Oh, we're getting a bite on right hand. I don't know if you can see that then. You can see that. Just zoom in a little bit closer. Line's gone a little bit slack. It definitely looked like a bite. That on the mackerel head, that on the simple pulley that I showed you. And typically it's stopped. I'm going to get something to eat, I think. We'll just see if it develops into anything. You know, it's not worth striking on that. It was too dainty in the end. It hadn't developed into... Oh, no. That's not a bite. That's just tide pull. Or water pressure or whatever you want to call it. Tidal flow. The first bit was definitely a bite. Yeah, we'll see if what else happens. I reeled them, I had bites on both rods. I've reeled them in recasting, rebaited recasting. We've got a bit of current now running to the right. Let's see. Trying to focus it up a bit. Yeah, not much is happening at the moment. Second bait up that. Right, bit of an update. I've had the husk head off on the surface. Picked my bait up, a good bite. Picked my bait up, took quite a bit of line off the reel. Not fast, but you know, thought it was something decent. I struck into it, got it on the surface. I was struggling to get down close up to the water and just what they normally do on surface. So that one a single O'Shaughnessy, that one. I'm a bit disappointed with that. I've been getting loads of crappy bites, and it did catch me off guard a bit, the husk, because I've had that many crappy bites. It started off as a crappy bite, but then developed into something, you know, a decent bite. So I think it's been a reasonable start, to be fair. I think we're still about 2 hours before low tide. Just going to tighten the reel up a bit, try and drag up on this reel. I think we're still 2 hours before low tide, so we've got loads of time. That's left hand rod. Just go a bit closer. That's dainty in comparison to what I've been getting. That's seeing it. I'm gonna pick it up and see if there's out on that. Nothing on it again. I just lifted the rig, going out there. God knows what's happening. I'm getting that. I've had that ever since the first bait up. And then, guys, the mystery is finally solved. As I thought, pretty much. Tiny congers. That is what has been causing us problems. I foul up this one in the side. You ain't got a prayer, have you? If there's loads of them. And I think that's what's been causing us problems all night. So, pain in the arse, basically. Just got one rod out now. Drawing the session to a close. It's not been too clever. Like I mentioned before in this session, a lot of effort for not a lot of reward. Hopefully tonight will be a different story though. So we'll try again. I'm not going to draw this out any longer. I'm going to leave you at that. Hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I have. Not. So other than that, keep safe, tight lines, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.